Hey, everybody, welcome into Sports Hub STL presented by DraftKings. The crown is yours, and you are watching Domesticated Gamblers, your home for St. Louis sports gambling talk. I'm Eric Sontag, and I'm joined by Shawn Surwillo, Tito Ulrich, and our special guest, Frank Ammirante, who I'll introduce here in just a minute. But first, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to our Sports Hub STL YouTube channel. Also, leave us a comment on these videos. We want to hear your picks. We want to find some sharps in this audience. Domesticated Gamblers also available on podcast on Apple and Spotify. And our show today is brought to you by Samonides Sweets and James Carlton with State Farm Insurance. So we'll tell you how you can support those great advertisers as we go along. We are recording the show on Thursday night, May 15th. So it is another edition of Domesticated Gamblers After Dark. And this show will be posted on Friday afternoon. So we'll be talking these red hot St. Louis Cardinals taking on the Royals this weekend. We got St. Louis City SC and the Battlehawks in action on Saturday. And we'll take a look at these Friday games in the NHL and NBA playoffs. But I want to start off by welcoming in Frank Ammirante. He creates fantasy and betting content at several sites, including RotoBaller and FantasyPros. You're all over the place, Frank. So we're going to talk all things gambling with you for the first 20 minutes of this show. So Frank, welcome in, man. How's it going?
Hey, how's it going? Thanks for having me on. Looking forward to talking sports betting with you guys.
Absolutely, man. Well, for our viewers that maybe are not familiar with you, just tell us a little bit about your background and how you got into sports betting and content creation.
Yeah, so basically how I got into content creation, always with my friends in a group chat, we'd be talking sports, and I've always been a sports nut since I was young. So I just thought, why don't I create a Twitter account? And I just started firing away takes, and I'd be very like, the way I am talking sports, I'm pretty sure of what I'm like. I feel confident in what I say, so I don't really second guess or like, oh, these guys don't like what I'm saying, I'm not going to say it. It's never like that. So it kind of just caught on that way. The audience enjoyed my, my confident, kind of concise takes, and from there, I just started, latching on with some smaller websites and just working my way up. Then went from freelancing to getting a full-time spot at a site called The Game Day, and now working freelancing again in multiple sites, but continuing to make content. And whether it's fantasy sports or sports betting, I just love to do it. And, it's just a fun time. Just love talking sports.
Man, I tell you what, Frank, you're living all of our dreams. That's how us three know each other. Talking that smack on text message back in the day. Now it's on X, and I appreciate your confidence. I go by Mr. Sharp. That's my alter ego. So I'm very confident in my bets and the way that I speak as well. So I definitely appreciate that in a gambler.
Yeah, it just, no one wants to read it. You don't want to be wishy-washy with it. Like, if a listener wants to start creating content, you want to just be confident in what you're saying, not to be overconfident or cocky, but you don't want to back down if the masses, feel like your take is way off, because it's just more appealing to the viewer there, and it's more fun for yourself as well.
Yeah, Frank, you talk about takes. I go by Tito. I give hot toilet takes from time to time. I send I send videos from my toilet to these jokers, and I give hot takes from time to time. And all of my hot takes are on point and never wrong. So that's kind of my shtick, and that's kind of where I like to go with things. But yeah, to your point in regards to sports betting, I see everything that's tracked on Twitter from you, and kudos to you for being that transparent. And from my perspective, I'm not a bettor. So Missouri is going to be legalizing sports betting kind of towards the end of the year this year. So I'm definitely, utilizing Mr. Sharp and Eric in regards to getting some tips and tricks. So from someone that's been successful and that has been totally transparent on Twitter, can you talk about maybe some different strategies that I could potentially utilize for when it becomes legal here in Missouri?
Yeah, for sure. So for one, what you want to do is you want to shop around different sports books, which means look at the line at different ones. There's some good tools that really just put it all together, all the odds, so that you don't have to log into each site to see one of them. And I don't have any affiliation with them. It's useful. So I'm going to call it out. It's called BetStamp. It's an app you get on the phone, and then you just pull it up. Let's say I want to pick the Cardinals against the Royals this weekend, and I want to look at a Matthew Liberatore prop. So you could click the game, you go to him, it'll pull up strikeouts, his outs, his walks. And then when you click that, you're going to see all the popular sportsbook and what the line looks there, because you want to get the best price available. So to our listeners, even if, let's say, Liberatore is at 4.5 strikeouts and the over is minus 130 money line, odds, sorry, on one site, and then another it's minus 115. That's only 15 cents. That's only a difference of, let's say, on a $10 bet, you'd be risking $13 instead of $11.50. But in the long run, that'll add up. So you want to always just try to find the best price, and that would be probably the top strategy, like the first point I would think of. And then secondly, you want to stick with an amount risked that's comfortable to you. You don't want to feel like once you lose a bet, like really angry. If you feel that way, it means you're risking a little too much. It's like, of course, everyone's going to be disappointed in a loss, but if it's to the point where you're just hovering over and just really so intently watching and pacing and hoping you win, and then if you lose, get really angry, that's when you know it's too much. So you're sticking to a stake that you're comfortable with. Bankroll management is key.
Yeah, bankroll management. We talk about that all the time. That's like number one sports gambling commandment. Do not chase, all those types of things, and get the best of the number. You just hit a lot of it right there. And really just like from following you on Twitter, like you are a high volume bettor, particularly in baseball from what I see. Like you're betting sides, you're betting game totals, team totals, player props, like you name it. So like when you're looking to decide what bets you want to put in on a day, like take us through your process of what that looks like, because I imagine that is a lot of work to go through all that.
Yeah, sure. Definitely. So one thing that I like, I'm going to call out one of my friends on Twitter at John Laghezza, JohnLaghezza. He's got a great tool, like a great spreadsheet where he just puts in all the important data you want to see, let's say with pitchers and opposing offenses, and it's all in one spot. You could subscribe to his Substack to see that. But even if you want to look at a free tool, you go on fangraphs.com. You go to teams. You can look at each team's stats versus righties or lefties. And in a long season like MLB, you kind of want to look at recent performance, like within the last 7 to 14 days, because even the best offenses go through cold stretches, and even the worst heat up and they start hitting, like, surprisingly. Like, say, like your Cardinals, like coming into the season, the Cardinals, they had low expectations, but in this recent hot streak, they've just been hitting quite well. So in that case, you would temper expectations if you're targeting a pitcher against them or something like that. What I like to do is I like pitcher props more than hitter props. I find that I have more success with it. I really like strikeouts, so I'm looking at, a team's recent performance, recent strikeout rate versus righties, looking at the pitcher's game log, looking at metrics, not just like their total strikeouts for a pitcher, but like swinging strike rate and things like that to see how many whiffs they're getting. Sometimes pitchers, you really see a lot of home and away splits. A lot of pitchers perform much better at home, like say Kevin Gausman of my Blue Jays is a good example. Took him today over 5.5 strikeouts, just squeaked that one over. But the point is, looking at all those factors is what I like to do. And in terms of, let's say, under, like in game totals, if I notice I like both of the pitchers, but it's too juiced on their props, which means like a high odds, let's say tonight, Hunter Brown and Jacob deGrom, both of their earned run props were at 1.5, and like a walk and just a blast, all of a sudden you lost. So in that case, I went with first 5 under, which was 3.5. At least like gives you a little bit more wiggle room. And since I liked both pitchers, it worked that way. I don't like to go too heavy on the same angle in the same game. So in that game, I went with Hunter, the under 3.5, first 5. If I would have included like a Brown and deGrom prop, you're putting too much eggs in one basket. So I don't want to go over the top on a specific game. But like in short, really, it's just looking at data for each game and also monitoring the weather. I don't want to even be touching these games with rain delay risk. Like, it's very annoying. Let's say your pitcher's cruising, then there's a 2-hour delay, and then his outing's short, and like that's the worst. So I rambled a bit there, but I gave a bunch, of good things I like to do.
Yeah, Frank. I know the other night you were on Ryan Weathers coming back from an injury stint, and that was a great handicap. And once you get into this, you're just becoming a handicapper, and you're plugged into sports every day, so you know what's going on. And I just enjoy that so much about the way you're bringing that into your gambling aspect, knowing the game and bringing that in to your gambling aspect. And also, you talked about weather. A Great American small park, when the weather's blowing out, anything over like 12 miles an hour, 12 miles an hour or over, auto bet for the over for me, because the ball's just going to fly out there. Wrigley Field, we do that a lot too. Sometimes we can get a 20-mile-an-hour wind blowing in, so we like the under on
Love
those. The weather, I mean, that's just a sharp play. And I know Eric, he loves to bet. If he's going to take the under, he always takes it first 5 under. He's a big opponent of that. And then the over, opposite, full game.
Yeah. Just a quick thing about the Ryan Weathers to the listeners. That's a good example. Those are the kind of bets that when I hit, it feels nicer because like, oh damn, I nailed that one. Because so for the listeners, it was Ryan Weathers' first start back from a lengthy 2-month absence due to injury. And what you could look at is these injured pitchers, their pitch count in their recent rehab assignment. If you look at their player page, RotoWire is good for that. And so I looked at that, and Weathers in his last rehab outing only went 57 pitches. So you had to think it's not going to be such a higher pitch count for his first start back. I think he went 5 innings. I didn't see the pitch counts, probably mid 70s. And so I took Weathers as under 1.5 earned runs, knowing that the wind was blowing in Wrigley and knowing that it was going to be a short outing, and remembering that Weathers in spring training was looking good. Like he had a lot of a uptick in velocity. He was throwing harder. He was heavily touted as a sleeper in fantasy baseball. So that's also too, like, I bring my fantasy baseball background into it. It helps a lot because you get plugged in with all these pitchers. So yeah, that was a good one, for a good example to call out, the Ryan Weathers one.
I got one other question for you. I'm a big unit player. If I have a heavy lean that I really like, that might be a 4 or 5 unit play. Are you usually 1 unit on every play, or do you dabble around with your units at all?
Yeah, so that's a great question. Everyone, basically the takeaway is go with what you feel like what works for you. For me, I always find that some of the picks that I love more than others, that I want to, I'll put more on it, it ends up like losing. And then the ones that I put less on ended up doing well, and it just frustrates me. So I always stick with the same, even if I maybe like one a little bit more, just because that's what's worked for me. And like personally, like I said, it just feels more frustrating. Like, let's say I put 3 units on one, and the other 3 I only put 1 unit, and then I went 3 and 1, and then and then I don't have a winning net. So, but not to say your way is wrong. In fact, a lot of people might say, if you really love one, you should fire more on that, which makes a lot of sense. It just personally for me, I like to stick with the flat same stake on each pick that I make.
And that's what's great about gambling. It's up to you how it makes you feel. Like you talked about, like if it's $5 on every game and you can live with that, stick with that. Don't get out of your comfort zone. Don't make this where you're trying to get rich tomorrow, because that's not going to work.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, this Joker always holds me accountable, Mr. Sharp. I send him text messages. I'm sweating on a $5 bet. He's like, "Oh, come on, Tito, got to lay some more odds to that. What are you talking about?" Like big wolf on that.
Well, you want to always stay comfortable. Don't, whatever stake it is, even if it's really low. Like, a good thing earlier this season, I was really off to a slow start. You look at the record, it looks awful, but like I kept posting it because, to be honest, it's fun. I like having a record and like building. I don't know. I just enjoy it. So I didn't care that I was posting negative. Like, it's free picks. I'm just trying. I'm giving you what my info is, like my research, and then if it works, it works. It's not like I'm charging. But anyway, my point is, even with struggling, I didn't raise the stakes that I was betting, because I could have been like, oh, how am I going to dig out of this hole? Let me double my usual amount or triple it to try to get there quickly. No, I just stuck with flat, same rate, not very high stakes. I'm low stakes better, but it's worked out. I've gotten out of that cold streak, slowly digging out of the hole. So that'd be a good advice too. Don't get on tilt, as they say, and start like really, hammering picks just because you're on a cold run, or even if you're on a hot run, you don't want. It's risky because then any day you could go from like red hot and then fire out a 2-8 day, and then you're like,
Yeah.
so,
Oh,
yeah.
totally, man. And I think it's important too that like being. I know one thing that made me a better gambler is when I started keeping track of every single
Mhm.
bet I made. First it was a spreadsheet. Now I use the Action Network app, and it just makes that whole process easier to track everything because it really just takes feelings out of the equation and it gives you nothing but facts. Because how many times, if I ever hear someone say like, "Oh, I finished the month about even," that means they got their ass kicked. Yeah, that means they're not tracking their picks. It's just kind of a feeling they have. They don't want to say, "Oh, I got my ass kicked." But when you keep track of every single play, you physically can see what you're good at, what you're not good at, and how much money you're making, or much more commonly, how much money you're losing to help keep yourself accountable. So, like, I guess just talk to us a little bit more about the importance of tracking your plays and like instead of just kind of going through this willy nilly. Because if some people like just want to bet every once in a while on a big game, that's one thing. But if you're doing this on a day in day out basis, you really
Mhm.
need to be taking this seriously and have some kind of tracking mechanism. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, definitely. So one thing for someone like me who's just doing straight picks and then doing multiple each day, of course we're going to track, but even track what I like to do is even track the bet type record. So I got the overall record, then I have like my strikeout prop record, my over under record, all these things, because you start to see where you're better, where you're doing better, and then you're focusing and honing in on that type of bet. For example, for me, strikeout props have been much better than everything else, so I'm trying to put more of those. Whereas like I did a little bit of starting pitcher hits allowed, and it's like horrendous, so I haven't done those anymore. So tracking in that way can help inform you and to make better decisions as you keep going. If you're just a better, like you said, on a big game, you want to throw a parlay, it's still good. It's still good to track, so you can see like, okay, because sometimes if you're just doing it for fun, parlay, 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 you don't realize, oh, bam, I'm down. Like let's say you're putting $10 on a parlay, and then you did, all of a sudden you look minus 120. If you would have tracked that, you would have seen, okay, I gotta like, maybe I should do like a 2-leg or a 3-leg instead of these 6-teamers every single time. Try to recoup some of those losses. So yeah, in short, tracking is very important.
Yeah,
What if
man, guys are trying to get rich on those quick parlays. They're throwing 15, 16 player props in there, trying to hit 70 grand, and I get it. It's a lottery ticket, but at the same time, money's money. And if you're throwing $5 here, it adds up.
Yeah, definitely adds up quick, and those are just so hard to win. So it could, like you said, add up real quick.
you keep on talking about tracking and looking up stats and monitoring different trends and things like that. Do you ever go with your gut? Is there any ever a time where you're like, I have a really good feeling that Gaussman's going to pitch a complete game shutout or anything like that?
Yeah, definitely mix in some gut sometime. Like the good example could be, all right, so like the other night, Ben Brown, a young pitcher on the Cubs, was facing the Marlins. And the matchup is great for Ben Brown to get strikeouts there. But I look at the number and it was 6.5, which feels like high for a guy that doesn't really pitch deep into games, like third time through the order. He's not a So I'm like, even though everything points to probably he's gonna go over this, I'm gonna take under. Just feel like this is too high. And then I just lucked out. He finished with 6, so that's an example of how it worked out. But other times it hasn't. Like tonight, I thought this one's just for fun. I don't post these like hockey picks, but I took the Capitals tonight. I thought they'd extend the series. They didn't win. That was pure gut, and it didn't work
Yeah.
out well. But yeah, to sum it up, definitely use gut sometimes and part of it. Yeah.
Yeah, we were using a lot of gut picks. We were going against Connor Hellebuck in the playoffs, Blues fans here, and
Oh
we
yeah,
were
damn.
cashing a lot of those overs. But the Jets brought that thing home somehow. We don't know, but yeah. So the gut for sure. I'm a gut gambler a lot of times. I do a lot of research, but definitely you got to have that gut feeling. That's a great breakdown, Frank.
Yeah, you got to mix that in here and there for sure. Because sometimes, especially us as fans, we watch it closely. You kind of pick up certain things. I think gut is good even when you're doing like a live bet. You're watching the game and you're seeing like this team's all over them, but they're down 1-0, or so you might take, a live money line. Good example of that. One time the Leafs were playing the Devils when the Devils were awful, and like they're down 2-0, the Leafs were, and it was second intermission, but I was watching a bit of that game. They're just all over them. So you just threw a sprinkle. I put them to win by 2, hoping they take the lead, empty net goal, and I lucked out. So that's a success story of the gut, but gut is good to put in for sure.
Last thing before we get you out of here, Frank, I want to get your thoughts on the Cardinals. This team is red hot right now. I saw you tweeting last night about Mason Wynn.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
continuing to cook game after game. So what do you think about this Cardinals team overall? And are there any like players in particular on this team that you like to target in the prop market?
So it's nice to see them exceeding expectations. You always like that, especially after last year with the Cardinals. Like, just nothing was going well. A lot of young player struggles, but it's good. I love what Lars Nootbaar, great plate discipline. Mason Wynn, I liked in fantasy baseball because Wynn was saying he wants to run more. That hasn't really happened, but the good thing with Wynn is that he plays good D, keeps him in the lineup. That helps you with fantasy because more chances to rack up stats, and he's turned this season around. The reason I tweeted about Wynn is because, during that cold streak, everyone's like, oh, we got to drop him in fantasy. But I'm like, no, we got to be patient with him. Talented young hitter. But in terms of the Cardinals overall, baseball these days, you just got to squeak in and who knows what can happen. And Cardinals definitely can. Matthew Liberatore has been a great breakout for them. In terms of props, I recently been targeting him with under earned runs when it's at 2.5. Because he's just been rolling. Sometimes these pitchers get in a rhythm and you just want to hop on that train and ride with it. But they could squeak in if you look at the rotation, Gray and Liberatore, and then maybe if Freddie can eat innings, maybe they call up one of their prospects who McGreevy, his name, I think.
Yeah,
we should already be up here.
Yeah, so it could happen. They're red hot now, and it's nice to see.
Yeah, so we got a big battle. Like I said, me and Eric have been on the over. We got we have a ticket already for the over 75.5. Tito said under 70 wins for this Cardinal team. He thought they were going to be abysmal. So what say you, Frank? What do you think? Over 75.5 at this point for the Cardinals?
Well, before I get into my pick, I totally get Tito. That's a demoralizing season. Like with the manager too, he wasn't great. And then even previously with Tyler O'Neill, all that stuff when they had the issues.
Oh yeah.
So I get why you would think under, and probably I would have maybe said that too before the season, but it really seems like their bats have been clicking, and it just a different year. I think it's gonna go over, and I think they'll get at least to like 78, but they can get to 83, 84, 85, maybe.
That's where I'm at.
Maybe if they're in the mix, when it's deadline time, they can make a cheap addition to bolster the staff a little bit. Like off the top of my head, maybe like a veteran arm on a team that's out of it. Like
I like Weathers. I like Weathers maybe from.
Oh, that'd be great. Yeah, that'd be perfect. Ryan Weathers. There you go. Weathers would be nice. So yeah, I think they go over the Cardinals.
I love that.
Before you get out of here, I'm going to give you one pick for NFL. This is my forte. I love the Saints this year to finish dead last in the NFL. So you can get that 5-1 at DraftKings. It just seems like Arch Manning's going to the Saints, right? The Saints are going to tank to get another Manning. I just think that's going to happen. It's in the cards. So that's my one play to you, Frank, is 5-1 Saints to have the fewest wins next year in the NFL.
Hey, it could happen. Look at that quarterback room. They're gonna have a second-round rookie starter, Tyler Shuck, and then backup Spencer Rattler. Like Shuck, I don't mind like taking as a late fantasy if you play those deep leagues like best ball, but like you said, quarterback room's awful, and they could be tanking for sure. I'm with it.
Love it. Well, Tito's the square in the show. We'll get back to holding him accountable here about his bad Cardinals takes. But Frank, man, thanks for joining us. Again, it's Frank Ammirante. He creates fantasy and betting content at several sites, including RotoBaller and FantasyPros. I guess, Frank, give yourself a plug. Tell our viewers how they can find you and access your content.
Yeah, so you can find me at FAmirante on X. And like you said, I got content at RotoBaller, Fantasy Pros, then posting betting picks every day, working on other sites too. One is called Best Odds, but you could see that all on my bio there. And, go Cardinals.
Love
All
it, man.
right.
Thanks for joining us,
Thanks,
Frank.
Frank.
We'll talk to
Yeah,
you, man.
no problem. Take care.
So, yeah.
That's Frank Ammirante joining us here on Domesticated Gamblers here on Sports Hub STL. So Tito, you're a beginning gambler. What'd you think of what Frank had to say? And while you do that, I'm gonna rearrange our screen setup here. So take it away. Give us some takes. I think Frank was kind of holding you accountable a little bit.
No chance. And Frank was not holding me accountable. There was a lot of really good tips that I was sincerely appreciative of all the cool little insights and nuggets that he, similar things that you guys talk about on a weekly basis, talking about, the first five innings unders, things like that, managing your bankroll. I also love the fact that he was able to say, hey, sometimes you got to trust your gut, because Tito's always willing to throw out a hot take. Even if I have egg on my face with the Cardinal win total, what it looks like, I'm willing to always trust my gut and give my opinion, just like Frank is. So I appreciate his insights and breaking it down and giving a beginning gambler like myself some tips for when sports betting gets legalized here at the end of the beginning of December. Big whoop on that.
That news breaking today. December 1st is the go date here in Missouri for sports gambling. Shawn, I imagine you're like a full chub during that interview at certain points, because I think you and Frank are in a lockstep about a lot of things when it comes to gambling.
Yeah, so the viewers don't know this, but I've caught on to Frank, I don't know, about 2 years ago, and his tweets, they hit home with me, and we've had a good dialect. And for all the wrongs with the internet and social media, this is a right. Frank lives in Canada, and we've kind of become ex-friends. It's kind of strange how these things happen. And yeah, it was awesome talking to Frank. It was good to put a voice to him. I've listened to him on shows before, but be able to speak to him was awesome. And I hope I can cash this Saints bet for Frank. This would be pretty sweet.
Yeah, I like that. Well, it's good to hear his Cardinals perspective. Sounds like he's bullish on this club too. I do want to get into this Cardinals Royals game on Friday, but first I want to tell you guys about an awesome sponsor you are going to love, and that is James Carlton with the State Farm Insurance Agency. And this applies to every single one of you watching this, because all of you need insurance. You need it for your car, or you need it for your home, or for where you rent. And I think a lot of you out there are like how I used to be. You don't really think much about who your insurance agent is. You just get billed once a month or a couple times a year and you move on. But I'm telling you guys, you are doing yourself a massive disservice if you do not get a quote from James Carlton and State Farm, because most everything is getting more expensive, right? So for me, I got a renewal notice from my old agent at the end of last year, and it was indeed a significant increase from what I had been paying last year. So I've heard about James Carlton for years now. I got in touch with his office, got a quote. Turns out I can save over $800 for 2025 by having my home and auto insurance with James Carlton and State Farm. So that's exactly what I did. I made the switch. And guys, this is a super easy process. James and his team takes care of basically everything. And now I got an extra $800 in my pocket this year because of it. Tito also made the switch recently. He's saving a bunch of money. I mean, for real, guys, you hear people talk about easy money in gambling sometimes, even though it doesn't always end up being the case. Well, this is easy money. It takes literally like a couple minutes to get a quote at carltoninsurance.net, or just do what I did. Just save a PDF of your current policies, email them to James and his team, and they'll get back to you with a quote to see if they can save you money with the exact same coverage. And if you're like me, there is a very good chance they will be able to do exactly that. Make sure when you get a quote, mention Domesticated Gamblers or Sports Hub STL, and they'll make a donation on your behalf to Mizzou's NIL fund. So get in touch with James Carlton today. The phone number 314-961-4800, or go to carltoninsurance.net. If your insurance costs a leg and an arm, call James Carlton, State Farm. And guys,
Eric,
yeah, go ahead.
One thing about James Carlton, like I said, I'm saving a bunch of money myself. I got a teenage daughter, folks, that's 17 years old, and he was able to reduce my rate I was shocked. I was absolutely amazed. So tip of the cap to James Carlton and the agency over there. Love working with them and huge proponent. Thanks for shouting them out, Eric.
Absolutely, man. Did you know Matt Rocchio's mom works there?
Oh no, I did
Yeah,
not know
Wow.
that.
she works in the office. It really is. And I think I mentioned this last week. This is not a case of, oh, let's just pump up the advertiser. This is the real deal. James Carlton, 314-961-4800. This is a guy you want to make a phone call to. If you call during normal business hours, someone is going to pick up the phone and you will speak to them. Maybe it'll be Matt Rocchio's mom, but make sure you give them a call. Tell them you heard about him on Domesticated Gamblers and Sports Hub STL. Let's talk about these red hot St. Louis Cardinals. They are now 10-1 in their last 11 games after they take 2 of 3 in Philly. Cards now 24-20 on the season, so pacing to go well over that season win total, Tito, of 75.5. And I think I mentioned at the beginning of the show, right now on DraftKings, if you want to bet on the Cardinals to win 80 or more games, you can do that. But you got to lay minus 200 in order to do that. So the vibes are great right now. As the Redbirds are in KC. They will take on the Royals this weekend. And Friday night, it is Andre Palante up against Cole Reagans. The Royals, pretty healthy favorite here, minus 155. The Redbirds, a plus 130 dog. And the total is set at 8.5. So, Shawn, how you feeling about these Redbirds? And what do you think on this game on Friday with Palante and Reagans?
Yeah, I mean, everybody knows how I feel about the Redbirds at this point. If they're watching Domesticated Gamblers, they know I'm high on them. I've been high on them all year. I'm not feeling good about Reagans. He's on my fantasy club, and he's struggling. He's walking a lot of batters. His ERA last week was 7.2, I believe. He's still getting a ton of strikeouts. He's still getting a ton of whiffs. So if you're looking at this from a gambling perspective, I like maybe his over prop. I haven't checked out his strikeout prop yet. I don't know if it's up even. But he's a lefty. I don't like that we're having Donovan in the lineup, Nootbaar in the lineup, Victor Scott in the lineup against a lefty. I don't like that. Over 162, lefty versus lefty is just not going to always get it home. Sure, Nootbaar hits some lefties, but historically, that's just not a good matchup. Everybody knows that. Lefty versus lefty over 162. So I'd like to see Ollie switch that up a little bit. You got to get Scott out of there somehow. But Reagans is struggling. I think the Birds can maybe get this thing done. Kauffman Stadium. Is still Kauffman Stadium? Is that what they go by? Who
I think
knows?
so.
I don't know.
Sure. Oh,
Is
gosh,
it?
yeah.
Great
I
stadium.
don't-
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah, well, everybody's changing so much now. Oracle Park, whatever. But so I like the Birds. It's going to be tough. I think Reagan's at home. He's usually pretty dominant when he's at home, but he was dealing with that little hamstring issue. So I hope we can squeak this thing out. I mean, the Redbirds are soaring, and right now, I don't think any team in Major League Baseball wants to play this club. The Cubs are struggling. The division's up for grabs. The Cubs have no pitching. They have bullpen issues. Ryan Presley was already removed from the closer's role. It's an issue. The Cubs aren't going to just keep hitting the ball over and over. Their offense is going to struggle. They're going to come back to earth like Frank talked about. Teams go through those stretches where the Cardinals have great pitching right now, and the hitting's been on fire. The pitching's got to hold up long term, but boy, oh boy, me and you, Eric, we've called this thing spot on.
I mean, I didn't think they were going to be 24-20 after 44 games, but yeah, the over looks great.
You can go run the tape. I was pretty high on the Cardinals. Yeah. I said I would be surprised if they could get in a wild card spot. This is a good club. It really is. It really is a good club.
Tito, I'll let you take the next crack, kind of the big picture talk and talk in the game. Before I forget to mention it, Reagan strikeout prop tomorrow. It's 6.5. It's juiced a little high on the over. It's minus 135. But he leads the all of baseball in K per 9. I think it's over 14 strikeouts per 9 innings. It's something like insane. He's had 8 or more strikeouts in 6 of his 8 starts, I believe that is. Yeah, 6 of his 8 starts, he's had at least 8 strikeouts. So for him to get 7, it's not bad. Cardinals don't strike out a ton. I feel like I want to look that up while Tito's chatting. But yeah, Tito, I'm just going to let the floor give to you. I think you're probably ready to concede on the under of 75.5, but maybe you're not. So just tell us where you're at on the Redbirds in this game on Friday.
Boy, do I have egg on my face with that under total. I mean, big woof on that. But do you think Tito has hot takes? I mean, Mr. Sharp calling for Brendan Donovan and Victor Scott and all these lefties to be benched against Cole Reagans who got lit up last week. And you want to talk about 162, and I understand the matchup and lefty versus lefty. I get that. But Brendan Donovan is one of the best batting average players in Major League Baseball. So I should not bench him. He should still lead off. He should still be up there. Nootbaar, I'm not quite sure about that. But I'll tell you what, this team is fun to watch. The offense has been amazing. I think last week you guys were talking about how I think they led the National League in batting average. So it kind of flies in the face of, something's got to give with related to if Reagans is going to throw, maybe, if he strikes out a lot. But the Cardinals don't strike out a whole hell of a lot. So I love the Cardinals in this aspect of it. And Kauffman Stadium is a bandbox. I mean, it's not really pitcher friendly. It's not hitter friendly, but it's pretty consistent. So, I definitely love the Cardinals, especially with those stats that Mr. Sharp talked about last week with Reagans. Big wolf on that fella. So give me the birds tomorrow. Give me the birds, Daddy. Let's go Cardinals.
I'm not saying bench all three of them. I'm just saying a lot of times
that's what
three
you
outs
said.
in the
You
lineup.
said bench all three of them. You said, he should bench all three of them. He should change the lineup. Big wolf on all that.
I didn't say bench all three specifically. I just said
roll the tape, Eric.
I'd like to see the lineup changed a little bit. Maybe get Nootbaar down in the lineup against a hard lefty. He's pretty good against a lefty. I understand them numbers, but Scott, Newt, and Donovan, it's tough. It's tough to have that against a tough lefty. We saw it against Luzardo. It's just tough.
Well, I get. Let's play this out because I just hard disagree with this, with just the way the current roster is constructed. Because if you want to do that, your only right-handed bat on the bench is either Pozo or Paez, whichever catcher isn't playing, and then Barrero. And it's like Barrero's, has 16 at bats. I still think this season is more about giving these young guys opportunities. I don't want to start platooning Scott or Nootbaar. You look at Nootbaar splits with lefty righty, they're just about even. And I understand what you're saying, like elite lefties, like a Reagans, Luzardo. I see what you're saying with that.
Yes.
And if we had other right-handed options off the bench, I could see the argument for that. But I just really don't agree with that, with the way the roster is currently constructed. So yeah, if you want to rebut that, feel free. But that's just where I'm at with the way the roster currently is.
Not a platoon. I'm not saying a 50-50 platoon, but just against a tough lefty, especially in the doubleheader game. I just didn't really agree with that. I thought Scott should have sat. Barrero should have played center. Just, that was a winnable game. And Victor Scott wasn't out all day because Luzardo was so tough. I'm here to win games. That's what I want to do. I don't know. I understand developing, and I'm saying Scott can play 70% of the time against left-handers, and that's good enough to develop. That's where I'm at. Not always bench him. Donovan, Nootbaar, there are exceptions for sure, but it's tough when you got three lefties in your lineup. It just is. And I understand, like you said, Burleson's a lefty. What do it's tough.
Gorman,
it's tough.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, because those are really your two main bench bats right now, Burleson, Gorman. I do wonder if it's reaching the point where Burleson's really going to supplant Walker as the one getting, more playing time. I don't want to get in big discussion about Walker and Gorman again, because it seems like we're having it almost every week, but I think it's reaching a tipping point. These guys might be better served in Memphis potentially. Like it is just like almost automatic out right now. As Tito, you were talking, I did see there's only 7 teams in baseball that strike out fewer times than the Cardinals. So that's why you see Reagan's strikeout prop a little lower. Probably you would see it at 7.5, but it being at 6.5 on Friday, I do find that interesting. Like I really do think this offense, the defense, and the bullpen, I think all this can be sustainable where they're above average in those parts of the team all year long. I really do think the big question is, and really the key to if this team can be in contention this season is, can the starting pitching hold up? Because right now the starting pitching ERA is 3.82. That is ranked 12th in baseball. So you will take that all day long. And Shawn, you talked a lot about this, and I think you're spot on about it. Before the season, you said, I think this team's going to get off to a good start. But you said the real test is going to be when the weather warms up and what happens to the pitching. Well, we are about there right now, because it looks like it's going to be about 80 degrees for this game on Friday in Kansas City. And as of now, as I look at this, it says there's going to be about a 17-mile-an-hour wind blowing out to right field in this game on Friday. This is according to covers.com. That's the site I like to use for weather. So I don't think I'm going to bet this because that weather thing is scaring me off, but I do lean under in the first 5 innings in this game. I was just super impressed with Palante last Saturday in Washington. Like, he needed that bad. I was starting to really get concerned about him, but he pitches in the 8th inning, gives up just 2 runs with no walks and 7 strikeouts. And I do think he is the kind of guy that if it's a hot day where the ball's flying out, he's not going to get hurt as bad as some other pitchers because he gets so many ground balls. I saw his ground ball rate is at 65% for the season. And then also the Royals had been super hot, but I think the Cardinals might be catching them at the right time because the Royals had been on a run of 16-2 in an 18-game stretch, but now they've lost 4 out of their last 5. So I think they've cooled down. I was stunned by this. Their offense is barely doing anything. The Royals are averaging just 3.4 runs per game. That is 28th in baseball. So I think Palante can have a pretty good start in this one. Again, if he keeps the ball down, if he's getting that ball up, he's probably going to get crushed with the way this wind is. The Royals, they are second in MLB in ERA. So it's really their pitching that has carried them. And with Reagan's on the mound, Shawn, you and I love this guy. We both have him in fantasy leagues. You mentioned the results have not been good, but man, he has just been super unlucky when you dig in. Like he's been getting BABIP to death, like over and over again. Tito, I know you love BABIP, but his batting average against on balls in play is 375 on the season. So that is going to go down. Again, his ERA is 4.20. His expected ERA is 2.31. He's got a 2.22 FIP and a 2.25 xFIP. I mentioned so like he's way overdue to have a great start.
Anybody who's playing fantasy baseball, you buy low on this guy right now.
Oh yeah, yes,
because that means good things are coming. So yeah, Tito Kaufman is more of a pitcher park. It tends to be a little more pitcher friendly. But it's comparable to Busch Stadium. They're both stadiums are pretty fair. I like the under all weekend. You got tough matchups all weekend. I think the Cardinals can win 2 out of 3 in Kansas City.
Yeah, I think it's really just that the weather is probably keeping it as a lean for me instead of a bet. Just because, like, and Shawn, and you can talk about that, the importance of weather here, in just a second. But like, I just feel like he's way overdue to have a dominant start. But I think the Cardinals are the kind of team that he might not be able to have that dominant start against him. That's another thing kind of holding me off because the Cardinals don't strike out as much, like we talked about. But like, his K per 9, I looked it up to verify. His K per 9 is 14.4 Reagan's, which is best in baseball. So I guess, Shawn, tell us more about weather when you handicap baseball, because you love betting baseball, and that is like something you look at on a daily basis. You got to check the weather, right?
Oh my God, you have to. Yeah, because especially when you have ballparks that we're talking about, Wrigley Field. So, what was it last weekend, Eric? I sent you a text about, man, we really missed out. I think that the wind was blowing in 27 to 30 miles an hour in.
Yep.
No ball was getting out that day. Robbie Ray was on the mound. It was an easy under. We missed out. I wasn't on top of that one. And that's, I got to be checking the weather better if I want to cash these tickets. But yeah, Eric, the weather is so important. And then also early in the season when it's cold, the ball doesn't fly out. And then here we go with summer when it warms up, ball's going to fly out. So, start looking for some overs here with the summer heating up. But, I remember, to bring something up here about Palante, I can't remember the pitcher's name, but Dave Duncan and Tony La Russa used to talk about, I think it was Jake Westbrook, actually. They said when he was tired, his arm was worn down a little more, that sinker would get down a little better for him. He had to be a little more tired. I don't know if you guys remember that, all Cardinal fans. So, maybe Palante just needed a few innings under his belt. Now he's getting them ground balls he needed.
So does anyone feel strongly enough to have an actual bet on this game on Friday? I'm just really struggling. I want to see more of the props come out. The Reagan's prop. I mean, Palante's strikeout prop is 2.5, but you got to lay -2 or -150 for that. I want to dig in this a little bit more.
I would take the Cardinals at +135 money line here, because I think it could be a close game. The Royals' offense is struggling. That'd be the only lean I would have I'm excited to watch this game. I'm not really excited to bet it.
I'm
No
excited.
strong leans.
Give me the under on strikeouts for Cole Reagan's daddy. This Cardinal bunch, they don't strike out a whole hell of a lot. I think they're going to put the ball in play. I think they're going to score a bunch of runs tomorrow night. I think they're going to put it to the Royals, daddy. The I-70 series is back, and we're going to hold them accountable from 85. Don Dinkinger don't have nothing on us, daddy.
Listen, Tito, Cardinal Nation's better when you're on our side, all right?
I don't know.
I love it.
Oh, my goodness. We'll see. I'm excited. Again, we've talked about it over the last several weeks. The young hitters that we got, and even Libator. I mean, that guy is a breath of fresh air. I mean, wow, Lottie freaking died. This guy's on fire. I'm going to go get a Libator jersey this weekend, Daddy. Let's go, Matthew. Woo!
Yeah, he had some bad luck in that Phillies game. You know, he deserved better results.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, if you want the under on the Reagan strikeouts, under 6.5 is plus money, plus 105. So you like that. I think if you do take a side in this game, I think you got to go with the dog in the Cardinals. I talked about Palante's 65% ground ball rate. Reagan's ground ball rate is only 38%. So it seems like he's either, striking out people or balls are getting hit in the air. And so
if the wind's blowing out the right, here we go, Daddy.
I'm telling you, man. So one thing I love about betting baseball in particular, you don't always need to have a strong feeling on who's going to win the game and what the total is going to be, because you can always just focus on player props. And that's what you can do with DraftKings Pick 6. So download DraftKings Pick 6 today. It's the easiest way to play for cash and take a shot at a big win. Just select 2 or more players and choose if they'll have more or less of a stat. So for Friday, I'd be interested in the under on the earned runs for Palante and Reagan's. Tito looks like he'd be liking the under on Reagan strikeouts. I think also we talked about Mason Wynn earlier in the show. He's been red hot, and so maybe look for some over props with Mason Wynn. Those are the kinds of things you can do on DraftKings Pick 6. It's available in most states, including California, Texas, Georgia, right here in Missouri, and more. So cash in your baseball knowledge. New players get $50 in Pick 6 credits instantly on just a $5 entry. Download the DraftKings Pick 6 app and use code STL Sports. That's code STL Sports for new customers to play $5. Get $50 in Pick 6 credits, better payouts, bigger wins, only with Pick 6 from DraftKings. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut. Must be 18 and over. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Pick 6 not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited. 1 per new customer. Bonus awarded as non-withdrawable Pick 6 credits that expire in 14 days. Limited time offer. See terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos.
Okay, guys, let's move on and talk about another way to make some money this weekend. And that's how do we bet against St. Louis City SC, Tito? Because this team just cannot win a game right now. They're now winless in 9 consecutive MLS games after that 2-2 draw with Sporting KC on Wednesday. Yeah, it's been bad. It's been a clown show over there. City now 6 losses and 3 draws during this 9-game stretch. And they now head on the road to take on Minnesota United on Saturday night. Minnesota is in 3rd place in the Western Conference, and they are the minus 190 favorite in this one. A City is plus 450 to win the game, and the draw set at plus 310. Your total is 2.5, with the over juiced up to minus 135. We've been seeing some more overs in City games as this defense has really regressed. The under 2.5 is at plus 105. So Tito, like minus 190 is a pretty steep price on a money line. So what do you think about City and how do you approach this game on Saturday?
Stay away. 0 chance City's going to get a point. It's a big woof. Minnesota's going to take care of business. Top 3 team in the Western Conference. This team has nothing. Big woof. Yeah, Joey Zelensky, who made his MLS debut last night. They can't hold a 2-goal lead. I guess a 2-goal lead in MLS is the dangerous lead, and is the dangerous lead in soccer now. Apparently, I mean, we're supposed to be this defensive juggernaut, and we give up 2, second half goals. Berkey still looks like he's still hurt. His hair wasn't slicked back. He didn't have any product in his hair. Big whoop. I guess they told him 30 seconds before game time that he was going in at net. So big whoop. That Melberg fella, he was out of the game last night. I'm not a fan. This is a complete dumpster fire, folks. Big Wolf. And I also don't like the freaking Kansas City, the Wizards, whatever they're called. What are they called now? Kansas City, what? I don't
Sporting
even care.
Kansas City.
Sporting
Sporting.
Kansas City. Sporting, go after yourself. Those players, they're always chirping. I mean, what are we doing here? I mean, seriously, the guy with like the 90th minute, he was mocking the STO City fans, and the referee's just like, oh yeah, let it go, no problem. Big Wolf. It's another reason why Tito can't stay in Kansas City. Yeah, come on, Kansas City people. Come try to hold Tito accountable, Daddy. Big Wolf to the Chiefs, the Sporting, and the Royals. We're going to take care of the Royals this week. I'll tell you that, though.
Well, you said at the very beginning there, stay away. Why would you want to stay away from this one? So you think Minnesota's going to win? You're saying you just don't want to lay. You don't want to lay minus 190.
That's too heavy. That's way too much of a price.
Well, let's find another way to get in there, Daddy. You got to find a way to get in. I'll talk about how I'm going to do that. But Shawn,
you're gonna do is give us a little Asian handicap bet here.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm not the season better.
Right.
I'm not the season better that you are. So if you have an edge, then Tito will listen, and I'll tail, baby.
You can take it away, Eric. I got no play on this boring team. I said weeks ago the coach should be fired so we can get a coach bump and finally cash a ticket on City.
I'd say that. I do wonder if this is approaching the point where, I mean, the next 4 games look really tough. If they don't get any wins, or if they lose 3 and draw 1 or lose all 4, I wonder if they're thinking about pulling the plug on Olaf. Like, I don't think that's really, I guess we don't know. We haven't seen this happen before in terms of something in a first season. I just think this team is in a very, very bad way right now. Like, not just the play on the field, but just the vibes, the body language. You got a Sporting Kansas City player that outright saying he wishes he could play City every week, like basically saying this team sucks. We want to play them every week. I mean, this is bad news. 3 of the next 4 on the road. None of these are against easy opponents. And I just think this game on Saturday is a terrible spot for City. I just get the sense watching the post game, really the last 2 games, they're just down in the dumps. And especially after blowing that 2-0 lead, I mean, they thought that was the game where they finally get a win, but then they fall short. And now you go on the road against a good Minnesota team that I think is in a perfect bounce back spot when you look at them. So 2 games ago, this made national headlines. Minnesota destroyed Messi and Inter Miami 4-1. And Minnesota's social media team is taunting Miami, calling them a pink phony club on social media, which I thought was freaking outstanding. But then David Beckham, who owns Inter Miami, chirps back at them, telling them to show some respect, show some class. And then Minnesota goes on the road on Wednesday and gets humbled, losing 2-0 at Houston. So I think this is a great spot for Minnesota where they come back and they go, okay, we got humbled at Houston. Let's refocus and let's beat the hell out of this shitty team coming in here. So like I said, I'm not in the business of laying minus 190 in a money line, Tito. Sounds like you're not either. And I do not recommend anyone out there, do not be laying odds like that on a consistent basis. Like, pick your spot every once in a while. I get it, but you are not going to be profitable if you're betting like that too often. So the Asian handicap, if you go to the game on DraftKings, go to the spread total tab, and under Asian handicap, Tito, here's what you're going to do. You're going to take Minnesota -1. And you can get that at -105 on DraftKings. -105 is a really nice price. That means City has to get a result, a win or a draw, in order for me to lose the bet. And I just do not see that happening here. So if Minnesota wins by 1, this bet is a push, but I fully expect them to win by multiple goals here. Like, this is a 2-unit play for me at least. Thinking about making it a 3-unit play, I think that price is too good. I think the -1 should probably be up closer to -130, -140. So getting it at -105 on DraftKings. Love the -1. What do you think, Shawn?
Boy, that's some great handicapping right there. You've been on City all year. I've been on the Battlehawks all year. You've been on City all year. Tito was on the Blues all year. This show's just been cashing money left and right for folks. It's been awesome. And Eric, I love your handicap with the City team. You're spot on. You know this club. You know soccer. I'm going to play it myself personally just because I trust you. I trust your handicap.
What do you think, Tito?
Yeah, I think that's a smart play. I like the insight. I like the fact that the city team can't score, and if Minnesota can right the ship and score at least 2 goals, then we're looking at cash in or at least give it a push. So I like the fact. I like that. I'll tail you on that as well, Daddy.
Yeah, City keeps giving up like 2 goals, on a regular basis at this point. And if they give up 2, like there's no way we're losing that bet. I could see it maybe ending 2-1, but I expect this to be about a 2-0, 3-0 type game. I think Minnesota, I got to double check this, but I want to say there's only 2 teams that have given up fewer goals than Minnesota. So they got a rock solid defense. And I do want to mention this, like I wrote this up in Sports Hub STL for the game against Sporting Kansas City. I'm 5-2 betting the last 7 City games, but the Sporting Kansas City game, I sat it out. And instead, because I write a preview for every single local team game on sportshubstl.com. And a lot of times I will give a pick for the game, but for this one, I just gave a lean. And a lean means I don't really have a strong opinion on what is going to happen here. And so I'm not going to bet it. So my lean for last night's game or Wednesday's game, was for City to go under their team total of 1.5. I got that wrong, but it was a lean. And that's what I'm saying, how it's important to be selective when you gamble. You do not want to have too much volume where you're just betting on shit just because you want some action. I didn't have a really good feeling about that game. I thought City, that was the game that they could break through, and they did for the first half. So really, the 2 things I was considering was taking Kansas City on the money line potentially for a big payout, or I ended up taking City's team total as a lean. Both would have lost. So I was smart in that situation, not to get involved. And Shawn, maybe to talk more about that, about just like you sometimes data sticks out or your gut is telling you something that like, okay, I got to play this. But if you don't get to that point, you don't have to bet on it, right?
Oh yeah. We were texting back and forth about that, and for me, this time of season, what I bet, it's not really affecting me. I might even not even check till the next day. And I'm betting a little more than normal. But when I'm in the NFL season, I am very disciplined because I'm feeding my family, and we're going on trips with this kind of money that I'm talking about, that I'm trying to cash, and that's what my goal is. And it might be I might skip a week because there's nothing that screams, "Hey, this number's off, this spread's off." When the lines are tight and there's nothing there, I'm not just going to bet to bet.
Yeah, don't force it. Yeah.
And I'm very disciplined in the NFL season. I'm glad you brought that up because right now, this time of year, I'm not being very disciplined. I'm betting some bets that I usually wouldn't bet because I'm having fun, like Frank talked about. I'm just throwing a little bit of money around that's fun money. So, if you really want to be, we talk about being sharp and this and that. If you really want to be sharp, I mean, you're betting 2 to 3 games a week at the max. You can't have too much volume or you're going to lose. Too much volume, the numbers don't add up. That's how Vegas wins. That's how the books win.
Yep. Yeah. I think you're right. Yeah, and you got to, and Frank talked about this, and he's totally right about finding that sweet spot of what your unit size needs to be, because you do not want this to be negatively impacting you when you lose, that it ruins your day or it impacts the way that you're, treating your family or whatever. You want to find enough. You want to find an amount that when you win, you're like, yes, that you get excited about it. But when you lose, you can just chalk it up as, that kind of sucked, and then you move on. That's when you know you got the right unit size. And that's going to be different for tons of people.
It is. And, sometimes you might have 3 dimes on a Super Bowl and it does affect you, but I've built my bankroll to get there. And I didn't lose that Super Bowl. I was on the Eagles all year, but for sure, Eric. And that's where, like, Tito, I know Tito recently opened up a DraftKings account, and he was betting $5, $6, $10, just small amounts of money that he's comfortable with betting. And that's exactly how you want to start. Don't overreach on this thing. Don't even bet $50 your first game, small amounts.
Taylor, do you want to talk about your experience at all over this last week opening up that account, or would you rather just not get into it?
No, it's fine. We can get into it. No, it was fun. It was an absolute, going over to DraftKings and, depositing some money and getting some tickets cashed. I tailed you guys on a couple of them, and I had a 1 lottery ticket parlay that if I would have cashed, I wouldn't be here this week, Dad. I'd be out of here, baby. but obviously that
Right.
didn't cash. But it was fun. It was fun. It was fun to track. It was fun to watch. And I cashed a couple of the bets. I didn't cash the one damn soccer play that you're supposed to be a soccer star, and that failed miserably.
It
So,
was bad.
but it was good. It was fun. Like you said, don't take yourself too seriously. Don't bet more than what you're willing to lose. And especially when these books open up and when sports betting becomes legalized in Missouri, I'm sure these books are going to have plenty of different promotions.
Yeah.
We got that STL Sports promo for STL, Sports
For
Hub
DraftKings
STL.
pick
So
six. Yep.
exactly. So there'll be a lot of other options where you get some free bets, and if you win, then you're taking home those winnings, and if you lose, it's no sweat off. So so it's been pretty cool. It's been fun to track, and I didn't win every bet, so it was kind of good because I'm not like, I'm not itching to try to get another bet in. So I'm like, all right, just maybe I take a week or two off and go from there.
Yep, and
Exactly.
we'll talk a lot more about this as we get closer. In case you're watching and missed the news today, here as we're recording this on Thursday night, May 15th, at Sports Gambling in Missouri, we do have a launch date of December 1st of this year is when we will go live. So we'll get the last month of the NFL season, which will be very exciting. You'll have college basketball, college football going on in that time. Those bowl games are a really good way if you're bored over the holidays. Just throw a few bucks on it. Just have a little bit of fun where you're watching like Eastern Michigan play Toledo or something. It is very good fun. We're
One
looking
last
forward to
thing.
that. Yeah.
We always, a lot of people talk about, well, the game's on, so I threw a few bucks on it. That's the most degen thing I've ever heard. Well, the game's on, so I bet it. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Well, it's just
Just
if
don't.
it's just a little bit. I mean, it's like a quarter of your unit size.
Spoiled taste.
It's like I'll do this a lot where like
I don't like it.
get your kid in bed. My wife she's wanting to read a book, so just me. So I'll flip on the I don't know, just some baseball game and just throw a half unit on it, quarter unit on it. Like that's the thing you don't want to get crazy with that. But I think that's a kind of to each your own thing. But the main thing is like the proper bankroll management with that. You start doing that too often and you're betting too big of a bet, you can really get yourself in trouble.
100%. Yeah, and like I talked about, when football season starts, I will become a different animal. It is discipline city. I will not degen over anything. I will not bet a game that I do not love because I have to. I have to win. I'm so driven to win in the NFL season. It's insane. It's just a different level.
And you've done it over the last 3 years. So you've done a pick six contest that you have been over 60% for 3 consecutive years. That's correct?
Yeah, and I'm mostly betting those games. Not every game either. The pick six, I have to put those in, but personal bets, usually maybe 2 to 3 a weekend if I'm lucky. Sometimes it's only one. It
Yeah.
might be just a dime on one game on an NFL weekend. Because after about week 3 or 4, the books get pretty sharp on their numbers, and it's tough. It's really tough.
Yeah, really got to be selective. So we'll talk a lot more about these big picture topics when it comes to sports gambling as we get closer to this launch date of December 1st. But another way to make some money lately is just taking the under in these Battlehawks games. I ended up betting that again last week. That was another no sweat winner for the second straight week. Only 28 points scored in that one. Battlehawks back at the Dome to take on the Birmingham Stallions on Saturday. So we got Stallions playing in the Edward Jones Dome about 30 years later than we thought they would be playing with the St. Louis Stallions. But both these teams are 5-2, looking like they're going to be in the playoffs. So this could be a preview potentially of your UFL championship game at the Dome. The Battlehawks can actually clinch a playoff spot this weekend. If they win this game and Arlington loses at DC, the Battlehawks are in the XFL Conference Championship game, and they would take on those DC Defenders a few weeks from now. But a lot of work to do in this game on Saturday against Birmingham, and the odds makers pretty much have this one as a toss-up. Battlehawks come in as a 1.5-point home favorite. Your total is 39.5. So Shawn, I'll go to you first. What do you got on this one?
Yeah, you were on the under. I was on the Battlehawks, I think, laying 3.5. So we both cashed that. And I think I said 13-3, and you said something like I could see 19-6, something like that. And I think it was 19-3, something. It was a super low scoring game. I'm going Battlehawks. I'm going to lay the juice, though. I'm going to go money line. I don't want to lay the 1.5 here. because it's 108. I'd rather just lay a little bit more juice here at 118. I like Battlehawks money line at home. I think they're tough to beat. I see the overs juiced at 118. So that's kind of interesting. But
Yeah.
I like the Battlehawks a lot here. I think they get this thing done. They clinch their ticket in the playoffs, and this team's going to win the whole thing.
I love it. Tito, got
That's
anything
a
on
hot
this one?
take, Daddy. That's a hot take. I love it. I think I like the under on this one. I think the under is pretty good on this. Didn't Birmingham knock us off last year? Is that what happened, or no? Did we not get knocked off by Birmingham last year?
No, that's different. I think San Antonio got us in the playoffs.
Oh,
last year.
that's right. The
Brahmas. I was there. Yeah, I was there. The Brahmas.
Right. So I don't have a strong lean on this one, but super fired up for the Battlehawks. Loving seeing that they're going to win the XFL Conference Championship. So anytime I can say the XFL, I'm going to say it. So let's go Battlehawks, and let's see them cast this under bet.
Yeah, I'm just going to keep riding the under too. Like I'm going to be on it on Saturday. I will physically bet it again. The Battlehawks have won 3 in a row now. So Shawn, you've been cashing on these Battlehawks winning and covering. I just think they figured out that they're going to rely on their defense. Like the offense isn't really doing much anymore with Max Duggan. Just 31 total points scored over the last 2 games, but they can win with this defense leading the way. They've now allowed single digits in points in 4 of their 7 games this season. And Birmingham has a good defense too. These teams are number 1 and number 2 in the league in fewest points allowed. So I think this total's a couple points too high. I'm surprised it's not like 36.5 or so. So like I'm loving under 39.5 here.
Eric, you haven't been down yet? You should go. This is your chance.
I still haven't. I just
do it.
I just cannot picture my 8-year-old girl enjoying this. I don't know.
Oh, SJ loved it. It's incredible. You got to go. Do it. Pull the Band-Aid off. Do it.
I just wait for the playoffs. Wait for the playoffs at this point. God, I hope so. Oh, man.
Ben Stiller, do it.
I think it is. Well, that's going to wrap up our home team coverage. We still got NHL and NBA playoffs we want to talk about before our best bets and our home team plays of the week. But our home team coverage there was sponsored by Samonides Sweets. Tito, we all love these half-pound cookies, brothers. So tell us more about Samonides Sweets.
Yeah, it's been a number of weeks since we've been promoting Samonides Sweets. And if you haven't experienced them yet, I think you need to reevaluate your life choices immediately, because these cookies, they're not just normal. They're half-pound flavor-packed cream cushion monstrosities. They hit harder than a Nolan Arenado laser to left field. While we're breaking down this week's home team coverage, the I-70 series as the Cardinals march into Kauffman Stadium to drag the Royals through the dirt, City SC heading up to Minnesota to silence United's fans, or the UFL showdown of the century of our Battlehawks prepare to fold the Birmingham Stallions like a cheap lawn chair, I need to address this biggest scandal in sports history. And Eric mentioned it before. St. Louis was supposed to have an NFL team called the Stallions, but instead, Birmingham had the audacity to steal our mascot name like some discount bin gas station knockoff. I am outraged because you know what? STL still has the Battlehawks. STL still runs the UFL, and STL still has the greatest cookies in human existence. So let me break it down for you. Samonides Sweets is not just a cookie, it's an experience. You got chocolate overload that will ruin every other dessert for you. Sprinkle Deluxe is the anarchy covered in frosting. Melting your mouth down in your hand is scientifically engineered for happiness. White chocolate macadamia nut, soft, crunchy, perfection. And the undisputed champion, Tito's absolute favorite, the classic chocolate chip, bow to the king. But wait, you think that you can't join the cookie madness because of a dietary restriction? Think again. They've got vegan and gluten-free options, deluxe cookie collections insanity like banana pudding cookie deluxe and turtle cookie deluxe. You have no excuse. Order now. And here's the deal of the century. Any order of $30 or more, get you a free cosmic brownie. Free! What are you waiting for? Go on over to SamonidesSweets.com and get your free cosmic brownie with any purchase of $30 or more. So again, the link's in the YouTube description. Smash that order button like it owes you money. Prepare for your taste buds to transcend reality itself. And while you're enjoying the greatest cookies ever made, lock in a few bets on the Cardinals, Battlehawks, or City, because there's no betting session without snacks. So Again, go to SamonidesSweets.com. Follow them on Instagram at Samonides Sweets. That's SAMONIDES. Indulge in sweet perfection with Samonides Sweets.
Samonides Sweets, sponsor of the home team coverage here on Domesticated Gamblers. And guys, let's talk some NHL. Yeah, tip of the cap, Tito, brother. A lot of energy. Bring the heat for Samonides Sweets. I do enjoy those cookies. Let's talk some NHL and NBA playoffs. We got 2 games we want to talk about on Friday. First up in the NHL, it is Game 6 of Toronto at Florida with the Panthers up 3-2. We were on the show a week ago, and Craig Berube and company had a chance to go up 3-0 in that series. They lost that game in overtime, and it has been an absolute disaster since. They lose Game 4, and then they lose Game 5 on Wednesday at home, 6-1. It was super ugly, and now they head back to Florida on the brink of elimination here. Panthers, a minus 245 favorite to get it done on Friday. The Leafs, the plus 200 underdog. Your total is set at 5.5. Tito, I will go to you first. What do you think here in this one?
Yep. The Maple Leafs are done like dinner. Felix Potvin can't even come out of retirement to save this bunch. I'll tell you that right now. Big woof on this club. John Tavares, big woof. You get this. You get the seat taken away from you last year. And Austin Matthews is so soft that now he's wearing the seat. Big woof. Chiefs got to reload. Brendan Shanahan should be embarrassed. I don't know if he knows how to run an NHL franchise. I'll tell you that right now. So give me Matthew Tkachuk and take the Florida Panthers to take care of business Friday night and go on to the Eastern Conference Finals.
So do you take the minus 1.5 here? Because I know you're not laying minus 245 on me, Tito. I know we taught you better than that. So minus 1.5 is a plus 114. Is that where you would go?
Yeah, that's where I would go. I think. I mean, obviously, I think the Florida Panthers are probably going to have a 1-goal lead late in the third period, and when the Maple Leafs pull that goalie, Chief loves to pull the goalie really, really early. So give me the minus 1.5 goal differential for that plus money, Daddy.
Yeah, Shawn, I want to mention this because this same game last week was a similar line. Florida was a gigantic favorite, I think minus 235. And you took the Panthers. Your lean was Panthers minus 1.5 because you were getting plus money. And I agree, if you're going to take Panthers, that's the way to do it. Unfortunately, the game went to overtime and the Panthers won. So all those dumb degenerates that laid minus 235 or whatever it was in the money line cashed. However, I'm just telling you, those people that do that are going to end up down in the long run. Would you agree?
Oh yeah. I'm not, I like the Panthers to come back in this series. I got a little bit of a hard time on the show. I think about it, blah, 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 Tito, this, that, but Florida's, they've been one of the best teams in the league. They got gumption. They got want-to. They pulled themselves up by the bootstraps, and here they are. They're going to get this thing done. Yeah, don't lay the odds. I'm going to go back to the well again. I'm going to take the puck line, 1.5. I didn't get that one home, but we've gotten a lot of them home on the Blues, on the Stars. I love puck line playoff time. It's just fun. It's better odds. And this is what we talk about, little taste. These are just little tastes for me on these puck lines. I don't see.
Stop saying puck line. Big whoop on that. My goodness, how many times are you going to say puck line?
That's what it's called, Daddy. That's what it's called.
We're going to call this segment Puck Line Playoff Time. That's what we're going to call it next week. I think I like that. But I think it's important. Like, we want to talk about wins. We want to talk about things that we get wrong, too. It's important to be honest and transparent about that stuff. And I don't think you actually bet that. But even if you did, you lost 1 unit betting plus 114 instead of laying at minus 235 and losing. So I guess what we're getting at is, when you're betting, like typically, Shawn, you like to reside in the not going over minus 120 most times for most things. I know every once in a while, if you got a gut feeling on something, you'll lay some odds, but you want to because that's where it's going to be really hard to be profitable if you're laying more than minus 110 on a consistent basis. Always.
I'm a dog better. I like to take the house's money. It's the way you win long term. If you lay odds all the time, you're not going to cash, So out of 10 games, they probably, you're going to lose them games. You're going to lose them odds. You can't lay 240. You just can't. Yep. You're not going to win. The math doesn't add up. So you can't do that. You can't do that stuff. It's for the birds. I don't know why people do it.
I'm with you, man. I don't think I'm going to bet this, but I actually lean Toronto. I just think if you're a professional and you get your ass kicked like that on your home ice, I feel like you have to come out with some kind of response. So I could see this like being typical Toronto Maple Leaf stuff where they find a way to win this game. They send it back to Toronto for game 7, then they lose like in heartbreaking fashion. Like I could totally see that, but you guys don't buy it. You think they're toast. You don't think Berube can get these guys fired up?
No.
I think the Panthers are going back. They're going to the Cup.
He needs a new culture in there. I mean, it's an absolute dumpster fire. There's a reason why they haven't won a playoff series. They haven't won consistent playoff series year after year, and they haven't really changed the makeup of the team that drastic. So I would love to see it, but my goodness, no, I don't have any confidence in these in this squad here.
But you're not firing Chief after 1 year. You're saying front office.
Oh no.
Chief Stan.
Yeah.
Chief Stan. He's done a good job. He's done a great job.
Yeah, he has. Like I've definitely been rooting for them. I've adopted them as my pet team along with the Dallas Stars. There's anyone playing the Winnipeg Jets. Then in the NBA on Friday, it is game 6 between the Celtics and the Knicks, with my Indiana Pacers waiting for one of these teams in the Eastern Conference Finals. Celtics trying to stay alive here, but of course, no Jason Tatum. Just a brutal freaking injury with that Achilles. But the Celtics do win game 5 to get this back to MSG. Knicks coming to game 6 as a 2.5-point favorite to close this series out. Your total is set at 210. So, Shawn, do you have a play on this game?
Yeah, you see this a lot in sports. Your star athlete has a brutal injury, and then you get everybody steps up their game. But the one game bumps over. The New York Knicks get this thing done.
Yes.
I like the Knicks. I actually love the Knicks. We just talked about this, but I'm gonna lay the money line minus 145 here. I don't want to mess with the 2.5. I love the New York Knicks. This is a personal play of mine. You always see this. Your star player gets injured. The team rises up for him. Celtics won that game, but that's over. Now you get back to competition. Knicks get this thing done at home. Knicks Pacers, can't wait for it.
Yes, you have the exact same handicap as I had planned for this, because I had the same exact thought, where you have a guy like Derek White who averages 16 points per game, puts up 34 in game 5, with no Tatum. So that is like the amazing performance in the game after the injury, but then reality sets in. You regress back to the mean and you get exposed because you don't have your star player. And Tatum had 42 before he got hurt in that game. So that's the exact situation. I was going to already be on this, but I think you and I got to talk off the air about how many units we're putting on this, because I love this play.
Yes.
This was almost my best. This is almost my best bet of the weekend. Tito, did you have a similar opinion? Were you going Celtics here? Be honest.
I mean,
okay.
the fact that you guys are so super confident, and the fact that you're not really going to, pay attention to Derek White. Derek White's a big time performer in the playoffs. He actually was a really, really good. He was a good, he had a lot of really clutch shots last year when they won the championship. So I get that Tatum is an all-star. He's one of the best players, maybe the best player, in the NBA. But my goodness, they still got Jaylen Brown. They still got a few veteran cores from the team last year. So they still know how to win. And this Knicks team is not. They haven't proven that they can win the big one yet. So they've got to the Eastern Conference Finals last year. They got to win this one to get to the Eastern Conference Finals this year. So I wouldn't count my chickens yet for this one. So the fact that you guys are so confident and it's like a 3-star play, I tend to go with the Knicks, or I tend to go with the Celtics on this one, Daddy.
And Knicks were not in the Eastern Conference Finals last year. The Pacers got them in game 7 in this round. And then it was Pacers Celtics.
Yeah, so even more reason for my evidence to be supported in this case, that they can't win the big one, where the Celtics, they still have it. So, even without Jason Tatum, the fact that they were able to delay the wood and get this back to MSG is a good indicator from my perspective.
Do you see this idiot Keyshawn Johnson on one of the hot take shows this week talking about oh man, this Knicks crowd, the Pacers, if it's Pacers Knicks, they got no shot. The Pacers are going to be intimidated when they go up to New York. And meanwhile, Keyshawn must have forgot that the Pacers went into MSG in game 7 last year and beat the Knicks by about 50 or something. Like, it was absolute blowout. Guy clearly did not know what he's talking about, but I cannot wait. I honestly think this isn't just my bias with my big ticket on the Pacers plus 2,100 to win the East. I think they're going to beat either of these teams. I really do. I think they're better than the Knicks, and I think they're better than the Celtics without Tatum. If Tatum was there, it'd really be tough, just like it was last year. But I love my position with the Pacers.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't know how much I'm going to even put on this yet. If this was NFL season, after this win, we'd be talking about going to the Bahamas, baby.
Well, it was almost my best bet, but now let's actually get to the best bets. And again, these are our favorite plays from anywhere across the world of sports. Shawn, I'm going to give you the honors here because you were the only one to cash last week. Padres -1.5 against the Rockies. I don't think that was the 21-0 game. That was the game that was a sweat where I think it finished 13-9. We were all sweating that at the end. So you're also looking good with that bet from a couple weeks ago with the Padres over 13.5 wins this month. So kick us off, man. Are you ready for your best bet here on the show?
I'm not ready, unfortunately. I'm out of town. So, Frank was on the show. So I'm going to throw it over to Tito or you, Eric, and give me 1 second here.
Tito, you go ahead.
Mr. Starr's best bet was that his son was going to catch his first bass this afternoon. That was his best bet. That cashed very easily. Kudos to SJ for catching his first bass, I guess is what it's called. I've never fished a day in my life. Big whoop on that, but kudos for you for doing it. No, I'll tell you my best bet because after last week, I'm not going back to the NHL. That fraud, Mikko Rantanen. I never liked that guy from the beginning. When he was with the Avalanche, I didn't like him. And the fact is that I was sucking the Kool-Aid too much after back-to-back hat tricks. But I'm going to go back to the NBA, and I'm going to kind of go with the play where I was talking about the Celtics, Daddy. And I like the fact that since Jason Tatum's hurt, I like the smaller lineup that the Celtics have to kind of put forth. And so I love Drew Holiday and the over 4.5 rebounds total. And I think that's -110 on DraftKings. And I think that's kind of a little sharp play that, with a smaller lineup, he's going to get a lot more minutes. And I think that's, he's been pretty consistent with rebounding over the season. So that's where I'm going to go with my best bet. Drew Holiday over 4.5 rebounds.
Eric, just like last week, I was going to sit here and think, and it's the Knicks, and it's the Knicks money line for me. I don't need to overthink that. Sometimes I overthink too much. I'm not overthinking this one. It's the Knicks money line. That's my best bet.
Boy, we're gonna be riding together on that one. Now I'm extra looking forward to that game. Tino, don't mind the play. Like obviously it's really digging deep, but you're getting -105 on DraftKings with Holiday over 4.5 rebounds. Yeah, he's averaged 4.3 for the series. It looks like, and with no Tatum. Got to pick up the slack. He's a big time player. He loves these big games. I think he was really one of the, he's obviously not the best player on the team, but I think he was kind of the missing piece last year for them to finally get over the top and win the title. So yeah, you cashed your last 2 NBA props you gave out on the show. So don't see any reason why you can't make it 3. As for me, last week, I was fading Connor Hellebuck. I was on the Dallas team total over 2.5. I've bet that every game this series. And I said, if you do that, you're going to end up profitable. As we sit here on Thursday night recording this, Hellebuck is working on his second shutout of the series. My best bet last week was the game where he had the shutout. Right now, he's currently shutting out the Stars 2-0 midway through the third period. But still, you have been profitable if you bet that every game this series. Just barely. I think it's probably like 0.3 units that you're up because you've had to lay some pretty good juice. But this means you get to go back to Dallas for game 6, and we know what Connor Hellebuck is like on the road. In the playoffs in particular. So I'm going to be betting it one more time, even though it looks like it's going to lose here tonight. Let's see. My best bet, though, I'm not going to go to hockey. I don't want to deal with that Hellebuck again. The Jets just really pissed me off. I'm going back to soccer. You know me, guys, and we're running out of time. There's only a few weeks left in the soccer season, except this city monstrosity we're going to watch for the next 5 months. But I got a 2-team lay here, Shawn. 2-team money line parlay. The first leg's in the Premier League. 6 a.m. Sunday morning, baby. I'm going to be on my couch cheering on Everton to beat Southampton. I actually think you guys are going to like this and think this is pretty cool. So Everton is a big club. They've been around forever. They've played in their home stadium. It's called Goodison Park. They've been in that stadium since 1892. It's 20 years more than the Red Sox have played at Fenway. Okay, so that's the kind of history we have here. Well, this Sunday is the last ever game in this stadium because they are moving into a new state-of-the-art one next season. There is no freaking way Everton is not going to win this game. Okay. Like, they have all this motivation, and their opponent is Southampton, who you guys have heard me talk about several times, that it's one of the worst teams in the history of this league. Southampton has nothing to play for. They've already been relegated for next season. And last week, they actually got a draw against Man City, of all teams. They get a draw against Man City, and that got them to 12 points on the season, which means they will not be the worst team in EPL history. They needed one more point to not be the worst team ever. They got the point last week. So, they're taking a breath of like, oh God, we can avoid that basically what the White Sox did last year in baseball. So I freaking love Everton on the money line here, but it's at minus 240. So I'm not going to take that. I might actually take it as a standalone play just a little bit. I'm also on the -1 in that for sure.
Oh, no.
I'm not going to do it. I'm joking.
No.
I'll spare you my analysis on the second leg of the parlay, but it's in Italy. It's called Serie A. It's the big league in Italy. Take Napoli on the money line to beat Parma. That's on Sunday afternoon. So my best bet, 2-team money line parlay on Sunday. Everton in the EPL, Napoli in Serie A. You put those together, you get a plus money price, baby. Plus 112 on DraftKings. So you're getting a plus money play for me for my best bet here on the show. If you're going to bet the Everton game as a standalone, I got -1 at -140 earlier in the week. That has since gone up. I don't mind laying the -1.5. I think they're going to win 2-0, 3-0, something like that. But pretty cool. Like, could you imagine if like the Red Sox are playing the last game at Fenway Park, or the Cubs playing their last game at Wrigley Field?
Yeah.
Like the emotion and everything behind that. And picture you're playing the Pittsburgh, or you're playing the Colorado Rockies. Like, that's what this kind of game is in soccer. If this was baseball, to give you like a comparison.
Yeah,
This
but
team might be.
competitors like to come in and shock the world.
Oh,
and
come
take-
on. This is like the Super Bowl for this team. They're already relegated. They had nothing. I mean, what have a lot of freaking down? Go in and shut this team down, and they didn't been around for 200 plus years.
Right.
This is
Are you
it.
kidding me?
This is what they get up for.
Tito's a coach. I got a great speech for you. You come in here. Let's shock these dudes. Let's take away their homecoming. Beat them. Let's go.
Yeah.
Kick the ball around. Play defense. 0-0 draw.
All around.
That's exactly what they did against Man City. I think that was it was 0-0. I think that was their I'll stop talking about soccer. I probably lost people right now, but I'm just saying. Just saying. Maybe you guys be on Southampton +1. We'll go heads up against each other. All right, let's finish up with our home team plays of the week. Again, these are our favorite plays in the games involving the local teams. I got to go back to the dark side here, Tito. The best play of the week, it's fading City. It's Minnesota -1 at -105. That's my home team play of the week. Like, it might push, but like, if City gets a result here, wouldn't you be absolutely stunned?
Oh,
Tito?
yeah, absolutely stunned. Yeah, but I'm not. No, again, I went to that well last week. I'm not going to that well this week. I'm going with the Cardinals, Daddy. Okay, I'm sipping the Kool-Aid. I'm on the bandwagon. Let's go 12-25, Daddy. Give me the Cardinals money line. What is it? It's plus 130, right? Yeah, give me that all day long, Daddy. I'm going to go with the Cardinals to shock the world tomorrow night.
I don't remember all of our hometown plays. I think we all faded City last week. I think we all were on that.
I can't remember. But yeah, it is Cardinals. Like, when Tito's optimistic about the Cardinals, that makes me nervous. That's when things are going to start to go bad.
Yeah.
Be a hater.
Yeah.
I don't just play character. Tell us what you feel, but like, it makes me nervous when you're optimistic. That's when the bottom falls.
I'm not optimistic. I'm riding the fan wave of the fact that the matter is that they're on the road and
it's been great.
This team is playing really well. So let's go.
Shawn, what you got?
I'm going to actually take the Cardinals as well, but I'm going to go to DraftKings here, and I'm going to go to series props, and I'm going to take the Cardinals to win the series at plus 135. So I think we can get 2 out of 3. The Royals offense is really struggling. They were on that hot stretch as well. I think we can go in here and sneak out 2 wins.
I like that. I think it's pretty sharp. Gives you more of a sample size. If something goes badly in game 1.
Royals tough at home. Royals really, really tough at home. Got a good home record.
Very intrigued by this matchup on Friday with Reagans and Palante. I do like the Cardinals' chances. If Reagans is getting that ball up and the Cardinals don't strike out, that wind's blowing out to right field. Yeah, Glendon Rush, get that ball up. I love
Yes.
that. A lot of good memories. Fading Glendon Rush back in the day, the left-hander for the Cubs. All right, guys, that's going to do it. We go 90 minutes again here for Domesticated Gamblers After Dark. Yeah, go
I
ahead.
got one thing here.
Yep.
Little gambling talk. I talked about the Saints 5-1, fewest wins. I'm getting into my NFL prep. Love the Dallas Cowboys over 7.5 wins. Dak Prescott got hurt last year, but 2 years ago, Dak was second in MVP voting. This guy can play. They got George Pickens. They have a little bit of underrated draft this last season. So I love the Dallas Cowboys over 7.5. I'm not saying they're going to Super Bowl. Not saying they're going to win the East, but 7.5 wins is very doable with their schedule. And then also, this one's a little pricey. It was at 115. That's what I got my ticket. But LSU to make the College World Series, they're at minus 150.
Wow.
You can find
Love
those
it.
both on DraftKings.
I remember you hitting some college baseball plays back in the day. Like it's very that market is out there. But I won't get too deep into it. But I tip of the cap to DraftKings. I did end up hedging my Pacers plus 2,100 bet to win the Eastern Conference. DraftKings had a market stage a round of elimination. So even though I don't know if they're playing the Knicks or the Celtics yet, I took the Pacers at minus 135 to get eliminated in the conference final, which no matter who they're playing, I think the Knicks will probably be about a minus 150 favorite against them if I had to guess. Boston even higher. So I ended up hedging a little bit. I'm guaranteeing myself either a 3-unit profit. I'm either going to win 3 units or like over 15. And I really think the Pacers are the best team. Again, with no Tatum, I really love my position to cash like a 15-unit player.
Super sharp by you to look around and shop, and you getting a better number, because I agree Knicks would be about minus 150. So you're getting best of the number there. That's awesome.
Yep, we'll be cheering on the Pacers. I'm actually going to Game 3 in person in
Wow.
Indiana, so I'll be looking forward to that on Memorial Day weekend. So we will be back here next Friday as we'll be looking ahead to that game with the Pacers and hopefully the Knicks. I guess we'll see. But that's going to do it for tonight's show. Hit the like button, subscribe to the Sports Hub STL YouTube channel, and support those advertisers, guys. It's really easy to do, and you will love doing business with them. You can buy some of those yummy cookies from Samonides Sweets. Just click the link in the YouTube description to go to SamonidesSweets.com, order some cookies, and get them delivered to your home. And everyone out there, get a quote from James Carlton with State Farm Insurance. Shawn, I know we were talking to you that you're about ready to make that phone call yourself. So again, I got an extra $800 in my pocket this year because I made that switch to James for my home and auto policies. See what they can do for you. Click the link in the YouTube description to go to carltoninsurance.net, or you can give them a call at 314-961-4800. Special thanks to Frank Ammirante for joining us here tonight, and for Shawn and for Tito, I am Eric. This has been Domesticated Gamblers here on Sports Hub STL, presented by DraftKings. The crown is yours. Thanks for being with us, guys, and we will see you next Friday.
Yeah, and let's go Birds.